The massive human warship materialized in a burst of blue light at the edge of the Centauri cluster. Its hull, scared and pitted from countless battles, stretched over 2 kilometers in length. The HSS Dauntless lived up to its name, a testament to humanity's will to survive and fight back. Commander Jin Woo Park stood motionless on the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back as he studied the holographic displays floating before him. His weathered face showed little emotion, but his dark eyes burned with an intensity that made his crew stand straighter at their stations. Dozens of alien vessels appeared on the tactical screens, their formations breaking apart in panic as they detected the human warship's arrival. Multiple ships detected, Commander. Their energy signatures match known Galactic Council vessel types, reported Tactical Officer Min Jiayang. Her fingers flew over her console as she analyzed the data. They're moving into defensive positions, but their formations are sloppy. They weren't expecting us. Jin Woo nodded slowly. These aliens had never seen a human ship before. They had no idea what humanity had become in the years since their own first contact with the galaxy. The memory of that day still haunted him. The skies over Earth turning black with enemy ships, the orbital defense platforms falling one by one, great cities reduced to ash and rubble. "Sir, they're trying to communicate," called out Communications Officer Hae-Yun Lee. Her neural interface hummed as she processed the incoming signals. "I'm counting 17 different frequencies. They're using standard first contact protocols." She paused, listening to the translations. They're requesting identification and purpose. Some of the messages sound afraid. "Good," Jin Woo said quietly. "They should be." The bridge crew exchanged knowing looks. They had all lost someone during the first attack on Earth. Friends, family, whole communities, gone in an instant because humanity had been too trusting, too eager to join the galactic community. They had learned their lesson in blood and fire. "Engineering reports the quantum drive is cooling down," announced Chief Engineer Tae-ho Kim through the ship's internal comm. "All systems nominal. We can engage combat thrust at your command." Jin Woo studied the tactical display again. The alien ships were spreading out, trying to surround the Dauntless while maintaining a cautious distance. Their energy readings showed powered-up weapons, but their movements betrayed their uncertainty. They had no protocol for dealing with an unknown vessel that simply appeared in their space and refused to communicate. "Sir," Hae-Yun spoke up again, "I'm picking up local communications between their ships. They're trying to identify us through their databases." A small smile crossed her face. "They think we're primitive species from the unexplored sectors." "How times change," Jin Woo murmured. He remembered the classification Earth had received from the Galactic Council before the attack. Pre-FTL civilization. Minimal threat potential, suitable for resource extraction. That assessment had cost the attackers dearly in the end. "Commander, one of their larger vessels is moving closer," Min-ji reported sharply. "Energy spike detected. They're charging weapons." Jin Woo straightened his uniform and took a deep breath. This moment would set the tone for everything that followed. Humanity had spent years preparing for their return to galactic space, and he would not waste the element of surprise. "Battle stations," he ordered, his voice carrying across the bridge with quiet authority. "Power up all defensive systems. Bring the main gun online, but keep it masked. Let's show them what humanity has learned about making an entrance." Warning klaxons sounded throughout the massive ship. Crew members who had trained for years for this moment moved with practiced efficiency. Shield generators hummed to life, and deep within the Dauntless, experimental weapons that defied the known laws of physics began to power up. The alien vessels scattered like startled fish as the Dauntless's energy signature suddenly multiplied. Their formations dissolved completely, ships breaking in every direction, as their sensors detected power readings that should have been impossible for a ship of its size. They're broadcasting warning messages to their nearest outposts, Hae-Yun reported, requesting immediate reinforcements. She paused, listening. "Sir," They're calling us a Class 1 threat potential. That's reserved for planet-killer weapons. Jinwoo allowed himself a small smile. They're learning faster than their predecessors. He turned to address his bridge crew directly. This is just the beginning. Soon, they'll all know that humanity isn't the same species they dismissed years ago. We're not here to join their community. We're here to change it. As if to emphasize his words, the Dauntless's external lights powered up, illuminating its battle scars, and the stark warning painted along its hull in multiple languages: never again. The message was clear to anyone who saw it. Humanity had survived its trial by fire, and they had emerged stronger than anyone could have imagined. The silence of space was about to be broken, and the galaxy would never be the same. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council erupted into chaos. Representatives from 100 different species shouted and gestured with their various appendages, creating a cacophony that echoed off the crystalline walls. The emergency session had been called within hours of the human warship's appearance, and fear filled the ancient hall like a physical presence. High Counselor Vex, their chromed scales reflecting the chamber's lights, struggled to maintain order. One at a time, they'd boomed through the translation field. We are the ruling body of civilized space. Let us act like it. The Centaurian representative, Ambassador Rel, rose from their hover seat. Their luminescent skin pulsed with agitation as they addressed the assembly. Our defensive fleet encountered this vessel at the edge of our space. It survived weapons that should have atomized any known ship of that size. The energy readings we gathered, they're impossible. They violate fundamental laws of physics. Aboard the HSS Dauntless, Intelligence Officer Sunhai Kang monitored the flood of transmissions pouring in from across the galaxy. She sat in the dimly lit Intelligence Center, surrounded by holographic screens showing thousands of intercepted communications. Her dark eyes reflected the scrolling data as she sorted through the growing panic spreading through alien civilization. They're calling us demons, she reported to Commander Jinwoo, who stood silently behind her station. Some species are evacuating colonies near our position. Others are mobilizing their fleets. She paused, analyzing a new stream of data. The more militant species are already discussing preemptive strikes. Jinwoo nodded slowly. Let them come. Each encounter will only add to their fear. The stories were spreading faster than light itself through the quantum communication networks that bound galactic civilization together. Each telling grew more elaborate than the last. The ghost ship that appeared from nowhere, the terrible weapons it carried, the strange bipedal creatures that crewed it, creatures that had evolved on a world that should have killed them. In the council chamber, the Arxian delegate raised their crystalline form. We have analyzed the basic design of their vessel. It bears marks of weapons we've never encountered before, but more disturbing are the signs of damage it has survived. Whatever these humans fought before finding us, it was worse than anything we can produce. Sunhee's screens lit up with new alerts. Sir, they're accessing their historical archives. They've identified Earth. She leaned forward, her expression darkening. They're finding the old survey records, the ones from before the attack. The council chamber fell silent as ancient data appeared on their shared displays. Earth, a death world by their standards. Too much gravity, too much atmospheric oxygen, too many apex predators. The humans had been classified as barely sentient tool users, remarkable only for their unlikely survival on such a hostile planet. How? Demanded the Centaurian representative. How did they advance so quickly? Our surveys showed they were centuries away from achieving spaceflight. An older member of the council, their form shrouded in mist, spoke with quiet dread. We have seen this before. When species face extinction, they either perish or transform. These humans, something happened to them. Something that forced them to evolve beyond normal development paths. Sunhee's fingers danced across her console as she tagged relevant transmissions. The fear is spreading exponentially, sir. Every species that accesses our file is broadcasting warnings to their allies. They're calling us the survivors now. Some are comparing us to ancient legends of world enders. Jinwu allowed himself a grim smile. Humanity spent thousands of years dreaming of first contact. We imagined it would make us part of something greater. He touched the scar that ran down the side of his face, a reminder of the day those dreams burned. Instead, it taught us that we were already strong. The ship's very existence is a violation of everything we know about physics and engineering, the science minister declared. Their weapons, their defenses, they shouldn't be possible. These humans didn't just advance quickly. They broke through barriers we thought were fundamental laws of the universe. Sun He's screen suddenly blazed with new activity. Sir, they're accessing the restricted files now. They found records of the attack on Earth. She looked up at her commander, her expression hard. They know who really gave us our impossible technology. In the council chamber, the true source of their fear finally emerged. It wasn't just the human ship's power that terrified them. It was the knowledge that somewhere out there, humanity had encountered something terrible enough to force their incredible advancement. Something that had attacked them, tried to destroy them, and instead created something new. And now that transformed humanity had returned to the galaxy, carrying weapons and technology that defied comprehension. The legend of the ghost ship grew with every passing hour, spreading from system to system, civilization to civilization. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy trembled. Lieutenant Du Yan Choi sat motionless at her decryption station, her face illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic data streams. Her eyes widened as the patterns finally aligned, revealing the truth hidden in the quantum noise. The messages she intercepted carried a signature she had hoped never to see again. "Commander," she called out, her voice tight with urgency. "You need to see this immediately." Jinwu crossed the bridge in quick strides, the rest of the crew turning to watch. Du Yan's hands trembled slightly as she projected the decoded transmissions into the air between them. The symbols were unmistakable, the same ones that had preceded the attack on Earth. The harvesters. "I would have you survive," Mayray responded sharply. "The harvesters don't respect your doctrine. They don't care about your protocols. They see them as weaknesses to exploit, just as they did with us." She brought up new images. Earth cities in ruins, civilian shelters destroyed, the aftermath of the first attacks. "We tried to fight them conventionally. We tried to be civilized." Her voice hardened. "We tried to die with dignity. Then we learned to win instead." The alien commanders watched as she detailed the new combined strategy. Human ships would break their lines, drawing harvester forces into prepared killing grounds. The more advanced alien vessels would strike from hiding, using their superior technology to maximize the chaos. It was ugly, asymmetrical warfare that violated every principle of honorable combat. "You have two choices," Mayray concluded. "Fight alongside us and stain your honor, or maintain your principles and die clean. The harvesters don't care either way." The war room fell silent as the alien commanders considered her words. They had seen the reports from the frontier worlds, the devastation left in the harvesters' wake. They had watched recordings of the dauntless fighting, turning certain defeat into Pyrrhic victory time and again. Finally, Admiral Thex spoke for them all. "Teach us to win ugly, Captain Kim." Mayray nodded, allowing herself a small smile. Lesson 1. When facing extinction, honor is a luxury we cannot afford. She activated her neural link to the Fleet Command Network. "All ships, begin combat drill sequence. Show our allies how humanity learned to survive." The combined fleet moved into position, elegant alien vessels alongside battle-scarred human ships. Together they would learn to fight with the desperate fury that Earth's defenders had mastered through necessity. The galaxy was about to change, and the harvesters would learn that they had created something far more dangerous than they could have imagined. They had created warriors who were no longer afraid to die, only determined to make death mean something. Chief Engineer Tai-Young Rail led the Council's scientific delegation through the armored corridors of the Dauntless, their footsteps echoing against metal floors. The alien scientists, representing the most advanced civilizations in known space, followed him with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Their sensor devices hummed continuously, trying to make sense of the impossible readings that surrounded them. "What you're about to see," Tae-young said, stopping before a massive security door, "hasn't been shown to any non-human before today." He pressed his palm against the scanner, and the door silently slid open. Welcome to the heart of human desperation. The chamber beyond was vast, stretching several decks high. In its center floated a sphere of pure darkness, suspended in a containment field that pulsed with energies that made the alien scientists' instruments screech in protest. Some of them backed away instinctively. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Tae-young asked, walking toward the sphere. "We call it the quantum core. It's the reason the harvesters ran from Earth. It's also technically impossible." The lead scientist, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline shell, moved closer to examine the core. "These readings, they violate fundamental laws of physics. This cannot exist." "That's what we thought too," Tae-young replied, activating a holographic display that showed the core's inner workings, until we had no choice but to make it exist anyway. He showed them the data from Earth's darkest days. The initial harvester attack had destroyed most of their conventional defenses within hours. Traditional physics had failed them. Traditional weapons had proven useless. "We had two options," Tae-young explained, his voice growing distant with memory. "Accept our limitations and die, or break physics itself." He gestured to the quantum core. "We chose option 2. The scientists crowded around the displays, their various appendages and sensory organs trying to process what they were seeing. The quantum core didn't just bend the rules of physics, it ignored them completely. It created energy from nothing, manipulated spacetime like clay, and performed calculations that should have taken billions of years in microseconds. "Impossible," one scientist whispered through their translator. "No species could advance this quickly. The theoretical framework alone would take centuries to develop." Tae-young's laugh was without humor. "We did it in 8 months. Amazing what you can accomplish when your children are dying and your world is burning." He touched a control, and the holographic display showed the core's development history. Every theory we tried, every experiment we ran, every failure that killed test pilots and destroyed laboratories. It's all here. The aliens watched in horrified fascination as humanity's desperate race against extinction unfolded before them. Failed experiments that leveled mountains, successful tests that opened holes in reality itself. Scientists working themselves to death, knowing that each day they delayed meant more lives lost to the harvesters. "You don't understand what humanity is," Tae-young continued, walking around the quantum core. "You think we're savages because of how we fight. You think we're reckless because of the risks we take. But everything we are now, everything we've become, was born from one simple truth." He stopped and faced them directly. "We refuse to die." He showed them more schematics, more impossible technologies that the Dauntless carried. Weapons that shouldn't work, defenses that violated causality itself, engines that laughed at the speed of light. "Each of these breakthroughs cost us dearly," he explained. "The first quantum core explosion took out half of what remained of New Tokyo. The gravity wave experiments killed entire research teams, but we kept going, because we had to." The lead scientist's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. "This technology, it's beyond dangerous. One mistake could tear reality apart." "We know," Tae-young said quietly. "We've seen it happen. That's why the Dauntless has so many battle scars. Some of them are from our own weapons backfiring. But we'd rather risk tearing holes in space than let the harvesters destroy another world." He activated one final display, showing the full capabilities of the quantum core. The alien scientists backed away in unison as they realized what they were seeing. The Dauntless wasn't just a warship. It was a weapon that could unmake reality itself. "Now you understand," Tae-young said, watching their reactions. "Why we fight the way we do. why we take the risks we take. We're not just fighting to survive anymore. We're fighting to ensure that no other species has to do what we did. No one else should have to break the universe just to live in it. The quantum core pulsed behind him, its impossible existence a testament to humanity's desperate ingenuity. The alien scientists looked at it, then at each other, finally understanding what they were dealing with. Humanity hadn't just advanced. They had shattered every barrier of science and safety in their drive to survive. And now that same desperate innovation was all that stood between the galaxy and the harvester threat. The question isn't whether this technology is too dangerous to exist, Tae-young concluded. The question is whether anything else is powerful enough to stop them. He looked at the quantum core, its darkness reflecting in his eyes. We broke physics because we had to. Now we'll use it because we must. The alien scientists left the chamber in silence, their reports to the council already taking shape. Humanity hadn't just created new weapons, they had rewritten the rules of reality itself, and they had done it all because the alternative was extinction. The galaxy would never be the same. The void above New Singapore Colony erupted with quantum distortions as the harvester fleet emerged from hyperspace. Hundreds of their biomechanical ships filled the sky, their dark hulls blocking out the stars themselves. The colony's orbital defense platforms opened fire immediately, their energy weapons splashing harmlessly against the invaders' shields. Commander Jinwoo Park stood on the Dauntless's bridge, watching the slaughter unfold. The Allied fleet, despite all their training in human tactics, was being torn apart. Harvester weapons cut through their formations, turning proud warships into expanding clouds of debris. New Singapore Colony reports their shields are at 30% and falling. Communications Officer Hae-Yum Lee reported, her voice tight with tension. Ground defenses are engaging. But she didn't need to finish. Everyone knew ground weapons were useless against harvester ships. Jinwoo's hands tightened on the command rail. Status of the quantum core. Chief Engineer Tae-young's voice came through the comm, strained but steady. Ready on your command. But sir, if we do this, there's no going back. The core's never been pushed this hard before. Better to risk ourselves than lose another world, Jinwoo replied. He opened a channel to the Allied fleet. All ships, this is Commander Park. Clear the combat zone immediately. I repeat, clear the combat zone. We'll handle this. Weapons Officer Jaya Song's fingers flew across her console, preparing the impossible weapon they'd brought with them. The quantum core's power readings began to climb, pushing past safety limits that had already been set beyond reasonable bounds. Sir, Jaya called out. Quantum cascade sequence initiated. The core is responding, differently this time. Her screen showed energy patterns they'd never seen before, wild fluctuations that should have been impossible even by their impossible standards. The Dauntless's hull began to glow with ethereal light as reality itself bent around the ship. The quantum core was drawing power not just from their universe, but from others, tapping into dimensions that their desperate experiments had discovered but never fully understood. Harvester fleet is responding. Tactical Officer Minji reported. They're breaking off their attack on the colony. All ships moving to engage us. Her voice held a note of grim satisfaction. They remember what happened last time. The enemy fleet turned as one, their biological ships flowing into attack formations. They recognized the energy signature of the quantum core, remembered how it had driven them from Earth. This time, they meant to destroy it. Core stability at 60% and falling, Tae-young warned. The cascade is building faster than we can contain it. Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it now. Jinwoo nodded. Jaya, target their command ship. Let's remind them why they ran. The Dauntless's weapons came online, but they weren't conventional guns or energy beams. Instead, reality itself seemed to twist around the ship as the quantum cascade built to impossible levels. The hull's glow intensified until it hurt to look at, like a newborn star. Target locked, Jaya announced. Quantum cascade at maximum safe levels. And beyond. Sir, we're in uncharted territory now. All power to forward containment. Jin Wu ordered. Prepare to fire. The Harvester fleet opened fire first, their bioweapons spraying the space around the Dauntless with enough firepower to destroy a small moon. But the quantum field absorbed their attacks, turning their energy into fuel for what was coming. Core stability at 40%. Tai Young's voice was urgent now. 35%. Sir, we're losing containment. Now, Jia. Jin Wu commanded. Fire. The quantum cascade released, and for a moment, space itself seemed to scream. A beam of pure impossibility lanced out from the Dauntless, cutting through the Harvester fleet like a knife through smoke. Ships caught in its path didn't explode. They simply ceased to exist, erased from reality itself. Direct hit on their command ship, Minji reported with satisfaction. Reading total molecular disruption. They're gone, sir. Just gone. The remaining Harvester ships reeled from the attack, their biological components responding with what could only be described as terror. They had faced the quantum weapons before, but never at this scale, never with this level of power. Core stability critical. Tai Young shouted, "We need to power down now, or we'll tear ourselves apart." But Jin Wu wasn't finished. All power to the core. Show them what humanity can do when pushed too far. The Dauntless's hull blazed like a supernova as the quantum cascade built again. This time, when it released, it didn't fire in a beam. Instead, it exploded outward in a sphere of pure annihilation, erasing everything it touched from existence. The Harvester fleet tried to flee, but they couldn't escape fast enough. Ship after ship vanished, not destroyed but removed from reality itself. When the cascade finally died down, the space above New Singapore colony was empty except for the Dauntless, its hull still glowing with impossible energies. Core stabilizing. Tai Young reported, his voice weak with relief. We're still here, somehow. Jin Wu looked out at the empty battlefield, at the colony they'd saved, at the price they'd paid to do it. Send word to the council. Tell them what happened here. Tell them what we're capable of when we have no choice. The Dauntless hung in space, its quantum core slowly cooling, its crew alive despite doing something that should have killed them all. They had pushed their impossible weapon beyond its limits, and somehow survived. The message to the galaxy was clear. Humanity wasn't just willing to break physics to win. They were willing to break reality itself. Not a single piece of the Harvester fleet remained intact above New Singapore colony, where once hundreds of biomechanical ships had darkened the skies. Now only quantum echoes lingered, the aftereffects of weapons that defied the laws of physics themselves. Commander Jin Wu Park stood before the Galactic Council, his dress uniform bearing the scars of battle just as his face did. The great chamber was packed with representatives from every spacefaring species, their usual political divisions forgotten in the wake of what they had witnessed. The threat is ended, Jin Wu began, his voice carrying across the silent chamber. The Harvester fleet that has terrorized your space for centuries is gone, not defeated, erased. He paused, letting the weight of those words sink in. But now we must discuss what comes next. The council members stirred uneasily. They had seen the recordings from New Singapore colony, watched as the HSS Dauntless wielded power that shouldn't exist. The ship that had arrived as an unknown terror now stood as both savior and warning. Humanity's advancement frightens you, Jin Wu continued. It should. We frightened ourselves with how far we were willing to go, with what we were willing to become to survive. He gestured to the holographic display showing the Dauntless's quantum core in action. We didn't want this power. We didn't want any of this. But now that we have it, we offer you our protection and our friendship. High Counselor Vex rose from their seat, their chrome scales reflecting the chamber's lights. You offer protection, after demonstrating weapons that could unmake reality itself. Yes, Jin Wu replied simply. Because we remember what it was like to face extinction alone. We remember crying out for help that never came. His eyes swept the chamber. We remember, and we choose to be better than those who abandoned us. Captain Mayray Kim stepped forward, carrying data crystals containing human scientific knowledge. Everything we learned, every breakthrough we made, we offer it freely. Not the weapons, she clarified, seeing their alarm, but the medical advances, the shield technologies, the FTL innovations, the things that can protect life rather than end it. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Some species demanded immediate access to human technology. Others wanted guarantees that the quantum weapons would never be used again. A few called for humanity to be contained, their power too great to be trusted. Jin Wu waited for the noise to die down. We understand your fear. 7 years ago, we were a primitive species, barely able to reach our own moon. Now we stand before you with the power to reshape reality. He smiled, but there was sadness in it. It's not a comfort to know that any species could do the same, if pushed far enough. Chief Engineer Tai Young stepped up next, projecting new data. The quantum core technology cannot be safely shared, not because we wish to keep it, but because it's too dangerous. 3 research facilities destroyed themselves developing it. We bear that burden so no one else has to. The council deliberated for hours. In the end, they had no choice. Humanity had proven themselves not just powerful, but willing to use that power in defense of others. The treaties were drafted, turning the HS Dauntless and its sister ships into a rapid response force for the entire galaxy. Let this be the beginning of a new era, Jin Wu declared as he signed the accords. One where no species faces extinction alone, where the strong protect the weak, not because of profit or politics, but because it's right. The Dauntless became more than a ship. It became a symbol, a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous beings in the universe are those who have learned to survive at any cost. But it also became a promise that such survival didn't have to mean isolation or endless conflict. As the council session ended, Jin Wu stood at a viewing window, watching ships from 100 species move peacefully through space. Beside him, Mayray studied the activity with thoughtful eyes. "Do you think we made the right choice?" she asked quietly, offering them our protection instead of our submission. Jin Wu touched the window, his reflection overlaying the stars beyond. "We became something terrifying to survive," he replied. "But what matters isn't what fear made us become. It's what we choose to do with that power now." The Dauntless floated in orbit above the council station, its battle-scarred hull a testament to everything humanity had endured. But now it represented something new, not just the power to destroy, but the will to protect. Not just the ability to survive, but the determination to help others do the same. The galaxy had changed forever, and in that change, humanity had found not just survival, but redemption.